all bloody feet, and some of them had to be carried. They had no more feet, and they had walked from Normandy, and they had guards with whips, American MPs with whips, whipping them to go. And then they were asking, drink and so I knew they were thirsty, and I bought fruit. So I went with my fruit to give that to them and threw them. And the MP came with his whip, said, get out. And the cruelty. Yeah. And then I had another friend, well known, during the 30s, I helped Jews in Paris, as you know, young Jews. They came back in the army. And so we reconnected, because they found me, and we were still kind of, we couldn't talk, but we knew where they had gone. So one of them was a translator. he was actually in the intelligence, I didn't know. He was a translator for prisoners, because he was German and there. And he told me that they had sent a train from Normandy with prisoners, because the center of interrogation was in Reims. So every off and on, he was close, he was in Paris, but he went to Reims when there was a big job, of interrogation. And he told me, we were there, and the train arrived, it was a cattle train, and they were all dead. They had had nowhere from Normandy. The train had been delayed, and he said, oops, people said, oh, okay. And he said, when he was interrogating, people were tortured to talk in Reims, the prison. So don't tell me about the good war. No,
Yeah.
They were very cruel. And you cannot imagine how it bothers me, bothers Tracy too. You see a guy say, oh, wonderful, he downed 9 planes. Oh, sure, that was not empty planes. Right. It seemed after so many years you should have some kind of restorative justice, some reconciliation, saying he had to, he was obliged to, and he regrets. McCloskey, remember McCloskey?
Yeah.
He did, his story?
Pete McCloskey.
Yeah, you know his story?
No.
Well, he was in Vietnam, and then one evening he saw 8 people sleeping in a hole. He was in reconnaissance, and with his flashlight he saw 8 Cong, sleeping in a kind of a hole, and stupidly he killed them all, thinking, well, if they wake up, I'm done. And he never recovered from that, never. He said.
It seems like it's just like human psychology, right? There's a certain psychology, like when I talk to my brothers about Native American genocide, they have this thing about not dwelling on the past and moving forward. But doesn't there seem there's also a healthy thing where you come to terms with what's.
Yeah. What I think, you can forgive, but you shouldn't forget.
Yeah.
That's my idea, my formula. You should not forget.
Yeah.
Because you might have, after the Vietnam War, didn't you think that was the end? We would never have a war, and they got that stupid Afghanistan war. In Paris, that they had big bombing in Paris, in the metro and a department store.
Right.
And they had about more than 3,000 people died in those things. They had a very good intelligence. They found the people, or who had done it, or or their allies. They put them in jail for life. There was no war. They got the guy out, and they continued to watch. But they didn't have to fight a whole country because the 5 guys had done that. Completely. I think our country is very violent. Basically, and I think we practice frontier justice, like. My cousin was, the head of the Supreme Court. She cannot believe that the police is allowed to force confession. In France, the confession are in the court. The police, to have the police coerce confession, for her it's absolutely primitive.
Yeah.
We are really behind, and we don't get it. And the other day I had a meeting there of the Social Action Committee of Human. Say, oh, we have to continue the war. And I say, how much have, I'm glad because my daughter agrees completely. How much have we done? Well, have you seen any negotiation? Have you seen a lot of people going to? No, 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 not at all. And you know, I told you, when I grew up pacifist, we like Gandhi, but we knew that if England had not been willing, they could not have liberated India, because you have to have a country that's open, you know, to pacifism too, or else forget it, they will kill you. But Nehru was very practical. And all my teenage years, and my father was a big engineer of grid, all the big cartels, my father came to America too, armed Hitler. Hitler was very rich. He had the Ruhr and he had the Saar. And none of the factories had been destroyed during the First War. And they said their debts were tremendous. That's not true. I mean, the government had money, the people didn't, you know, but the government, so he could buy material and armament everywhere for his war, and they gave it to him. The European and American, what they call the industrial capital.
Like Henry Ford and...
Yeah, everybody gave it to him. And you know, Nehru wrote, and we went, I mean, in Paris, we fought, we wrote, you know, the pacifist group, they continue. And so, and after that, of course, you have to have the war. But we were so upset, because Nehru was a practical pacifist, you know, he knew exactly what to do. And you know, and people prefer those bang solutions than having negotiation, you know.
Right.
And I mean, it would have been so easy not to give him anything, you know. And Nehru explained it so well in his books, and all my pacifist group were so upset. And my father, as I said, was a big engineer. He said exactly the same, you know. We armed Hitler, you know. That was horrible.
Wow.
You know, it's. I mean, I don't understand why people are like that. I mean, profit is very important, of course. You know?
I mean, do you think there's a role for, I mean, I guess I question, like, after 9/11, I mean, setting aside what you and I might know about history, I mean, is there, I mean, wasn't there, the reason Bush was so popular was there was a sense that you do need to hit back sometime.
Yeah, but you could, as I said, the French, I mean, in fact, I heard Paul George's wife,
yeah.
You know, one time to explain that too very well about the French, and I was so thankful. She knew about the French.
Barbara or?
Barbara, yeah. She knew, you know, at the meeting we had against the war, she said very well, I mean, she had all kind of facts about the French arresting the people who had caused the two bombing, you know, because they had good intelligence, very good intelligence, they knew. And so they cornered them, and the country is smaller, of course, it's not as easy to hide in France as here. They got the people, they got the groups that they were in, they put them in jail. No, they didn't even kill them. Right. They put them in jail for life. We have not had problems since then. There had not been any bombing since then in France, right. You see? And because, you know, they've watched very carefully. You have to have a very good intelligence. And, you know, an intelligence that, but I mean, attacking a country because 5 people did, and that's my friend Matthew said, how many people die every day? More than 3,000, and do we care? No. You know, in Darfur, 3,000 kids die every day, but no one cares. Yeah. You know, I mean, it was bad, it was horrible. I mean, we should have done something, but not that. We don't accept rehabilitation, and we are for revenge. You know, always revenge. You know, they say, oh, so good, they found the criminal. Oh, now they can rest. What I mean, if I find the person who killed my daughter, I'm going to rest? Yeah. I mean, you know, it's so ingrained in our culture here. Yeah. You know, it's very sad. And you know, I'm glad because my grammar school teachers were all pacifist when I was a child. And you know, and I grew up the first years of my life in France, in the north. Hello? Hello?